around the globe. The armed forces of Nigeria yesterday described those allegedly calling for regime change under the guise of end bad governance protests as representing less than 1% of the country's population. They expressed their resolve to resist such attempt. Speaking at a joint press conference of the service chiefs and other heads of security agencies at Defense Headquarters in Abuja, Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa vowed that the military will defend the country's democracy with the last drop of their blood. Friday Oloko filed this report.
The hierarchy of the nation's defense forces are not gathered for war, but to bring to public domain efforts to secure Nigeria from both internal and external aggressors. The Controller General of Nigeria Immigration Service, Kemi Nandap, announced that security agencies have tracked and identified the foreign sponsors of the protests, whose mission is to bring down the administration and have placed them on the watch list of government and will also block their bank accounts.
Some of these sponsors, some of these people who are actually in diaspora, we have a number of them who are actually instigating this mayhem that we're seeing right now. What we've done is we've had them on our watch list and they've been watch listed. We have them on our radars and we're making sure that any attempt they make to come into the country will notify the necessary authority. And we're working closely, of course, with the NIA and DSS, of course, and the NSA's office, so that all those we have in diaspora that are actually trying to subvert the authority of this nation, they are in our radars, we have them watch listed, and any attempt they make to come into the country will be notified and we'll also know what to do.
After the address of Mr. President,
the Inspector General of Police, Kaudi Egbetuku, revealed that all the persons arrested, including the suspect linked with the production of Russian flag, have been arraigned and are already facing trial in court, while also denying allegation of using live ammunition to disperse protesters.
In this protest, we didn't deploy the rifle section. There was no need for it. We deployed only the smoke section. So we have used only tear gas smoke to degrade this protest. We have to arrest those carrying flags to be able to get to the sponsors. We know that those flags that those children were carrying were handed over to them by some people. If we don't arrest them, how do we know who handed over those flags to them? I want to tell you that the trial of those suspects have since begun. In Kano, for example, because we have large number of arrests in Kano, the magistrates moved to the police headquarters. And that is where trial is ongoing right now. If you go to the police headquarters in Kano now, you will find out that arrested persons are already being tried. So we are not keeping them indefinitely.
In line with the mandate of Mr. President.
The Chief of Defense Staff says the army will not fold its hands and allow the country to be destroyed by enemies of the state.
So we are duty-bound to protect the country. We are only after those that are against the state, not those that are innocent. So I want to make that very clear. We will continue to work together as a team to support Mr. President in achieving his mandate of peace and tranquility in our dear country, Nigeria.
The Nigerian army will not sit by and watch the nation slide into anarchy. Accordingly, the troops of the Nigerian army will continue to work in conjunction with other security agencies in the population space to maintain law and order.
It's very clear to every peace-loving and patriotic Nigerian that these protests are no longer what they were purported to be. Instead, it's very clear to all that the protests have been hijacked by criminal elements and other groups that do not mean well for the country.
People who want to perpetrate this ideology have other intentions other than the intention which they have made the gullible Nigerians to believe. And for that reason, as part of our constitutional responsibility, which is protection of the sovereignty of this country and provision of aid to civil authority, we are ready and we stand firm and resolute to provide the needed assistance to the Nigerian police in order to ensure that law and order is restored in all parts of this country where these violent protests have started.
The representative of the Director General of State Security Service shed light on the reported arrest of one of the protesters and that his service is extracting intelligence to track the financiers of the protest.
We appeal to our youths, to our mothers, to our fathers, to the generality of Nigerians to please give peace a chance and allow the government do what is needful. As committed as it has become, the federal government and all the subnationals will do what is very strategic for the nation.
Although the security chiefs have read the Riot Act, commentators say they should tread with caution while protecting the nation's democracy so as not to jeopardize the rights of Nigerians.
All right, Rufai, the service chiefs have come out talking tough. There's no place for that kind of what they've described as treasonable act in Nigeria, and they're going to come, and they've already started actually clamping down on it. Your take on this story? I
mean, it's very good, Aya, to talk tough, and I'm really happy about it because there's no room for such a treasonable act. The protest was about hunger, was about inefficiencies of government in Nigeria, and not about Russia. So Russia or China or other flags of other nations coming into the mix has no room here. But I also like to ask the service chiefs. Prior to the protest, they said they had intelligence. What did they do with intelligence to clamp down on all of this? They said they were going to have possibilities of foreign elements trying to break into the protest. What did they do with intelligence they had? Also, how did they manage the protest? Was I hearing, like they say in local parlance, double yesterday when they said no live ammunition was used?
Yes, they used gas.
Really? The videos of people being shot, there was no live ammunition. The casing of bullets that were pictured on the ground in Abuja, the people that died, there was no live ammunition. The same, I mean, this is what I don't get in this country. How can the same police report that one of his officers was shot, that miraculously survived, after they first said the officer was dead, and they said there was no live ammunition used? All the people that died in the protest, rubber bullets probably killed them. Other state actors killed them. Anyway, I'm not surprised. That was how we heard the narrative of nobody died in NSAS. But we know better today. I'd just also like to call on the police and call on the government. I think for protests like this, we need to be able to get the police total gear. I didn't see batons. I didn't see horses. I didn't even see shields. The police officers did not even have guard shields. So when they were being pelted with so there was nothing to defend themselves. Probably that's why they resort to ringing out live bullets in the air. But hey, like the police said, they never used live bullets. Most importantly, what I see with the protest is we need to be able to develop our undeveloped parts in this country. Economic empowerment is necessary. Those kids that are being used to perpetrate acts that are dangerous to these nations are a ticking time bomb. I just hope they're not used by terrorists in the future. So we need to fix our country.
A number of specific points. When this protest was announced, August 1 to 10, the protesters said they were going to focus on how to end bad governance. They came with this number of specific demands. Now, today is day 7. Where are we on day 7? Government had said before then that the protest could be hijacked by miscreants, by hoodlums, by persons who are interested in unconstitutional change of government. So the first line of conversation is that government's worst fears have been confirmed, because what the various authorities are saying is that indeed some people try to hijack the protest, particularly in the northern part of the country. Now, what we have seen is all the people who have been given the responsibility to defend this territorial environment called Nigeria, the military, the Department of State Services, immigration, the police, all coming out in unison to say that they will defend this country to the last drop of their blood. To the extent that the Constitution of Nigeria guarantees that the only way you can change government is through the ballot box, not through forceful takeover of government. And I think in that regard, General Christopher Musa and the other service chiefs, Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, the IGP, Kemenandap of Nigeria Immigration, Egbetokun of Nigerian Police, DSS, they are all correct. Because people should realize that it's also a matter of law. Section 37 of the Criminal Code says you cannot intimidate, overwhelm the Nigerian government or the person of the president or members of his family. The Criminal Code is that specific. Section 37 sub 2 says that you cannot encourage any act of takeover of government in Nigeria. The punishment is defined, I think, in Section 41. High treason, treasonable offenses, the punishment is death. In Section 44, which deals with treasonable felonies, the punishment is also just as serious. So what the service chiefs have done is that if you try to overwhelm the state or the person of the president of Nigeria, they have a constitutional duty to come after you. Similar provisions exist in the Penal Code, Section 66, Section 77, Section 104 thereof of the Penal Code. So whether you are in the north or you are in the south, you are not allowed by law to overwhelm the country. Number 2 point is the fact that it's not just the security agencies being on red alert. 14 civil society groups, including Yaga Africa, Enough is Enough, and other groups, Media Rights Agenda, they have said that the president is yet to address their concerns. And that is why we are saying that, yes, the president says he will dialogue with the protesters or the leaders of the protesters. He should set the mechanism in place. Number 3, I see some people complaining that these security agencies have frozen some accounts, have blacklisted some people. Well, if you violate the laws of the land, the state has the right to act within its own province, acting state qua state. The last point is that if you look at the governors, all the governors, Plateau, Niger, Kano, Bauchi, Lagos, which state again? Yobe. All those governors also, they are behind the president. You may say, as I have argued elsewhere, that President Tinubu is a lucky dude. He has everybody, within the system supporting him, all the security agencies, everybody. Because the state too is afraid. They don't want what happened in Kenya. They don't want what is happening now in Bangladesh. But the primary duty of the state is to protect itself. I hope that the dialogue option will come up. The request for specific issues to be addressed will also be addressed by President Tinubu and his team. So it's not enough to just say, we are quoting the law, we are throwing the criminal code and the penal code at you. The issues, the residual issues, must be addressed.
All right. Yesterday's briefing came shortly after, a day after the meeting with the president who had called in the service chiefs, especially in light of what had happened in the northern part of Nigeria. I believe this protest, this 10-day protest, which had been said, to be fair, that intelligence had been received that it might be hijacked, especially by, and also that there was some foreign interference in there, was confirmed. But this also highlights a big issue that we need to face so that we are not now coming at the end of the day to clean up what we already see is festering, and that is the north. If you notice, with regards to the protest, in largely the southern states, we saw people come out and, aside from skirmishes here and there, especially with, unfortunately, security agents, it was largely peaceful. In fact, after a few days, we saw the numbers begin to wane and people start to find alternatives and hopefully also pursue dialogue. Protest, as we established, is a constitutional right of Nigerians. What is not a constitutional right is using protests as a guise to perpetuate anarchy and violence, especially destruction of property and loss of lives in the state by people who have other interests aside from protests. And that is why, if you look at this, what happened, the scenario that that happened in the south and in the north, you would see that there is a big difference. And rather than us begin to face a monster in the near future, let us arrest it immediately. Yes, I hear the service chiefs talk about the fact that, especially the Inspector General of Police, highlight the fact that the justice system is following due course. All those who've been arrested are their trial is being expedited. In fact, in one of the police stations, the magistrate is there so that we have, these people who have been apprehended tried. We also hear that there's some minors in that number, in the people who are facing persecution at the moment. But beyond that, which is fine, is also the fact that we see that there are elements who are willing to use people, especially play on the ignorance perhaps of certain people to push their own sinister agenda. And this is what we must arrest. And so why would people readily be used as maybe tools in the hands of these people who have bigger agendas that do not align with the state of Nigeria? It is the fact that they use poverty as a weapon. We have to face these facts because the North is just as Nigerian as the South. And if things are okay in the South, but the North is bubbling under, then there's a red flag right there. And so I hope that beyond these, talk, and which is fantastic in terms of condemning the actions of people who hijack the protest, is that we begin to look at the issues clearly. What must we do to prevent such a thing from happening again in the North, especially with regards to meeting the needs of the people? Education is a big factor. Poverty levels, infrastructural development is a big factor. Engaging with the rulers, traditional rulers, spiritual rulers in the North, a big factor. We must do this side by side of force and arrest, which is good as a deterrent. All right, let's move on to our next story for this morning. Heirs Insurance Group, one of the fastest growing insurance providers in Nigeria, has announced the appointment of Ibrahim Puri and Sonny Roche as independent non-executive directors of its non-life insurance business, Heirs General. Both directors are accomplished leaders. Ibrahim Puri has over 30 years of experience in banking, fintech, and FMCG industries, and was formerly a group executive director in the United Bank for Africa and currently serves on several boards. Sonny Roche has over 4 decades of experience in finance, investment promotion, and economic advisory. He serves as the executive chairman of Strategic Alliance Promotion Company and has held several leadership positions in successful companies. Tony O. Elumelu, CFR, Chairman, Heirs Holdings, commented on the appointments. He said, and I quote, "We are pleased to welcome Ibrahim and Sonny to Heirs Insurance Group and especially to Heirs General Insurance. The exceptional leadership and track record of success will further assist in executing our vision of being Nigeria's foremost, trusted and innovative insurance provider. I know that their expertise will enhance Heirs Insurance Group's position as an industry leader, delivering exceptional value to all stakeholders." End of quote. Heirs Insurance Group is the insurance arm of Heirs Holdings. The insurance group has enjoyed rapid growth since its launch in 2021 as consumers benefit from the group's unique offering of digitally driven insurance products and customer-centric service proposition. Heirs Insurance Group is championing financial inclusion and leading the digital insurance play in Nigeria, demonstrating its mission to democratize access to insurance.